Yeah, it's time for that part of the night where it's the grassroots segment. And you know what? We always start with Ibis Football Club and the information for Ibis Football Club in the Glemnet Southern Amateur League at Glemnet SAL on Twitter, and also at Amateur Football Alliance at Amateur FA on Twitter, as well as the G-Man buggers off. I don't know where he's going. Where is he going? Where's he going? That's one mighty big orange. But anyway, I'm going to leave that one alone. But Ibis Football Club at gmail.com is where you can email. If you'd like to play for the Ibis, you might play alongside Straight Shooting LJA and the G-Man in the fours side, which I am proud to captain. But also, it's one of them ones you never know. You might be in the threes, twos, the ones. You never know. But you know what? Yeah, big shout out to each of the captains. Ollie Roberts, captain of the Ibis Threes. Ollie Wooden, mate of mine, captain of the twos. And Mas Resai, the captain of the Ibis ones. You know what? Big shouts, of course, to all of my teammates as well on the fours. I'll get into that in a sec. Because remember, ibisfootballclub at gmail.com. If you want to play for the Ibis, hey, it's one of them ones. That's where you need to be emailing for all of the info. And also to get yourself registered as well, because you got to be registered to play in the Southern Amateur League. Now, bit more information, facebook.com/ibis, IBIS.FC, and at IBIS_football on Twitter as well. And ibisfc.co.uk is the official website. Big shout to JT, aka John Timmins, who keeps up the website. And of course, a big shout out to the powers that be at Ibis FC. Tristan Popel, our chairman, our treasurer, Boney. So one of them was Bloggy, the two Ollies, Mass as well. It's one of them was big shout outs, guys. Big shout outs. You know what? Training is every Wednesday from 7:30 p.m. until 9 p.m. You might see Straight Shooting LJA there if I'm not too banged up after Saturday. And you also might see the G-Man down at training as well. 7:30 till 9 p.m. at the Battersea Park all-weather AstroTurf pitches just off Prince of Wales Drive, next to the Children's Adventure Playground is where those pitches are. Match days are Saturdays anywhere within the M25. So where you play is dictated by what side you're playing for. Now, some of the results from Saturday. Of course, we are going to get into the Ibis Fours in detail with a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and a little bit of a match report. Of course, we're gonna get into that. But first and foremost, some of the results from around the club from the 21st of September 2013. The Ibis Ones drew 1-1 away at HSBC. Ali getting the only goal. NUFC Oilers won 2-1 against the Ibis Twos. Patricio Baptista getting the only goal of the game for the Ibis. The NUFC Oilers are actually brand new to the league as well. They're on Twitter as well. I think it's at NUFC Oilers, I think, on Twitter. So big shout out to them. Old Finchleans 5, Ibis Freeze 4. Cooper, Roberts, Ed Brook and Tom Fleece as well getting the goals for the Freeze. Will, Mr. Hainsworth made the Freeze went down to defeat. What's going on? What's going on? But also Old Actonians for the Ibis Fours 3, and we'll get into that in a second. But we had Barry Clark, Jordan Mills and Gideon Barnett with the goals in that game. But you know what? It's one of them ones, man. Let me get into the fours. Let me get into the fours result in detail, because the Old Actonians 8s beat us 4-3, but that doesn't begin to tell you the story, because the starting lineup, we had Boney, Stephen Bone, aka Boney, in the goal. We actually started with 3-5-2, but I'll come back to that. We had Gideon Barnett, Carl Bolton, Carlos Gordon, Ash Farrell, Namo Matamisa, Tom Buttress, Jordan Mills, Pete Snell, Barry Clark, and Will Hodges, with myself, Straight Shooting LJA, aka Liam Angel, Gavin Henry as subs. And we also had Tammy Elfane down as a sub as well. But it's one of them ones where You know what? In the Glemnet Intermediate Novets Cup, we travelled for a local derby to Gunnersbury Park to take on one of the Old Actonians teams. We did have a good-looking squad this week, but it's one of them was, especially with certain additions, but it was one of them ones where it was a match that had somewhat of a disjointed start off. To certain people arrived well after kickoff. And I'm man, you're a disgrace in the chat for that. That's disgraceful. I'm trying to read a match report. This was cursing me out on Skype. Pitch Talk 1 on Skype. But putting him on the bench. I put myself on the bench as well. After that back injury I picked up last week. But it's one of them was, we did have a disjointed start because I was still chasing people 10 minutes before kickoff. So for people to be turning up late and one of those people was actually going to start, just wasn't good enough, and then they ended up turning up 20 minutes into the game, but we'll get into that. But it's one of them was yours truly straight shooting LJ, because I was chasing people. I actually didn't get a warm-up, but I'm going to come back to that later. We actually went 1-0. We actually went 1-0 down quite quickly after Tom Buttress in his second game after returning from a long injury actually conceded a penalty. For me, it was very much a rusty tackle because Buttress has been out for 18 months, I think, with an ankle injury. So it's one of them ones. But, which in all honesty, it was a Stonewall penalty. But after the goal, we did get back into it, and with a quality corner from Gideon, mate, it's one of them was Gids put in a quality ball, but Barry Baz Clark's header was fantastic. Great technique on the header. You saw that as well, didn't you, mate? Great technique on the header, and he levelled the scores at 1-1. But we had a reshuffle to make quite early on in the match, and much earlier than I actually expected, because Tom Buttress actually pulled his groin. So I had to come on a lot earlier than I was expecting. But it's one of them ones, but I actually was directly culpable for their goal, as their striker, their number 10, was lively, and he did catch me napping at the near post after coming in from the left and slotted neatly past Boney into his far right hand corner to put us 2-1 down. As said, I do admit culpability in this goal, but at the end of the day, admittedly I did take my eye off the ball, but I was actually more concerned with things happening off the pitch and trying to get people to the goddamn game rather than what was happening on it. And when your mind's in 1,000 different places, it's never good. But halftime rolled around, and after some wise words from Boney and my attempt at a motivational speech, we went out and gave it a go in the second half. We did battle, but we did go 3-1 with a speculative shot that went under Boney's foot, which he did blame on a bobble. G-Man's face is like, no. Blamed it on a bubble. But we got it back to 3-2 with Jordan's goal eventually being bundled in. He eventually bundled the ball into the back of the net after Old Actonians couldn't clear their lines. And fortuitous was definitely the word. Was definitely the operative word. It was definitely the word that I choose for the goal, but I wasn't complaining. It was soon actually 4-2 to Old Actonians, and after their big attacker bulldozed his way through the middle of our midfield and lobbed Boney, who was only just off his line, much to the delight of the kids who were actually behind the goal, who congregated behind the goal, to cheer Old Actonians on. So much to their delight, Boney got lobbed as their big ginger lump. He just bulldozed his way through.
It was a fantastic goal, though. No, I'm not even trying to mock. It was a fantastic goal. It was one of the best goals I've seen in grassroots. You gotta give him credit,
mate. You got some low standards there.
Oh my god, you gotta give him credit. Just like the goal that you're gonna describe now, the Carlos run as well.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, it was one of them ones. It was one of them ones down the right. There was a lot of actual good work down the right with Carlos's run, but you know what? Yeah, it was one of them was we did pull another goal back with Gideon putting away a low effort similar to the second goal that we conceded after good build up from the right hand side, and Carlos Gordon especially, his close control is very, very good. I mean, he's a 5-a-side player by default, but very good.
He runs like Keith Gillespie.
I can't remember how he runs. With the arms close to his chest. Yeah. But it was one of them ones. But in the end, we did come up a bit. We ended up coming a bit short because at the end of the day, we did pull it back to 4-3 with Gids' goal. But it's one of them ones, man. I mean, as mentioned earlier, it was a cup game, so I wanted to experiment with 3-5-2, which we worked hard on to make it work, but midway through the second half, we had to revert back to 4-4-2. And Pete Snell actually limped off, so Gav had to come on right back. So everyone played at least a good couple of positions. I mean, I played wing back for a bit. So it was weird. But a lot of reshuffling was done, but there were positives in terms of how hard everyone worked. So at the end of the day, we move and groove on to next week. So, but the one thing that did annoy me more than anything is that people need to show up on time. 2 people in particular needed to show up on time because it destabilized everything. The worst thing is you're mentioning that I was switching. It got a bit tetchy a couple times during the game where people I didn't say that. I didn't say STFU to anyone. I did not say that. But it was one of them ones where people were getting antsy and I was trying to calm it down because we didn't need it. At the end of the day, all you're doing is giving the other team encouragement when you're arguing with each other.
And was that Liam, man? Everyone's doing it to me, man. Everyone's doing man.
No, but I was saying there's no need for tit for tat.
Just shut up, man. Shut up.
I wasn't that bad. I was not that bad. Oh, for Christ's sake.
No, but all honesty, Liam showed character, showed
games during more witnesses.
To me, this game you showed your captain, your captain streak. It came to like who's in
brown nose.
Who's in? No need to brown nose, mate. No need to brown nose. But you actually lived up to the part and showed who was boss. Man tried to roll into the team, thought he was running things, and you showed him the ways.
Well, at the end of the day, I think it was Carl Bolton who said at one point during the game, at the end of the day, if Liam says do something, just do it. And I appreciated that. When I heard that comment, I was like, you know what, thank you. Because that's what we needed. At the end of the day, it's about we, not me. It's not about me, it's about the team. In the words of John East, one team, one dream. That's what it's about for me. So it's one of them ones. It's one of them ones, man. It's one of them ones. But you know what, yeah? Want to move on to the next 2 teams that we feature on the grassroots segment. Haringey Borough Women's FC being one, who are located in Coles Park, White Hart Lane, Tottenham, London N17 7JP. They do have a Facebook group, Haringey Borough Women's FC. Private group, I'm sure if you ask, they'll let you in. Ask nicely, they'll let you in. Also, they are on Twitter at HBWFC1. Big shout to Kendall Campbell, who's one of the coaches there as well, goalkeeping coach. Their website is www.haringeywomenfc.co.uk. They train on Tuesday and Thursday evenings from 7:30pm until 9:30pm at Northumberland Park Community School, Truelock Road, London N17 0PG. So Kendall usually gives us match reports, but he hasn't been able to supply that this week. But their match days are on Sundays. Speaking of Sunday match days, Stevenage Borough Ladies FC, www.clubwebsite.co.uk/Stevenage Borough BOROFC. Their Facebook page is Stevenage Borough Ladies FC. Their first team is in the Eastern Region Premier League, and their reserves are in the Eastern Region South League. They play on Sunday afternoons, and their home pitch is Codecote Sports and Social Club, Berry Lane, Codecote, SG48XX. And yeah, big shout out to Dave Potter, who's one of the managers there. So all good. Just wanna, but you know what? Big shout out to the Southern Amateur League at Glemnet SAL on Twitter and the SAL 1907 on Facebook. And big shout out to the AFA Amateur FA at Amateur FA on Twitter, and I think it's facebook.com/Amateur FA. SouthernAmateurLeague.co.uk is the SAL website, and the Amateur FA website I think is amateur-fa.co.uk. Oh, hold on. Tremendous. We've actually got something in from Dave Potter from the Stevenage Borough Ladies. Yeah, mixed fortunes for the Stevenage Borough Ladies this weekend. The first one in the FA Cup, playing Hoddleston Owls and coming up with a comfortable 5-2 win. The tie was over by half-time after Stevenage scored 5 goals in 29 minutes to kill off and any chance Hoddleston had to win the tie. 2 goals from Rachel Catlow and a goal apiece for Amy Jocelyn, Sammy Tinsley and Donna McGuigan put Stevenage into the second round draw in this year's Women's FA Cup. They have a tough tie away versus Bedford in the next round. As for the reserves, not such a great day at the office, and going into the game we were full of confidence after the past 3 performances, but Bulldog are a very physical side and probably the younger players were intimidated slightly. The day didn't start well when a player called in sick, which meant a late change in formation. I know that only too well with the Ibis forwards, and then having to replace the keeper in the first 15 minutes after she was caught late by the Bulldog forward. Stevenage found themselves 3-0 down, but managed to pull one back after a pinpoint corner from Alex North found Katie Grehan to head home. The ladies started to put together some good passing football, but just as it started to look like we were getting on top, our centre half fell to the floor after a challenge landing on her wrist. Oh, I'm breaking it in 2 places. This called for another formation change, but that was the final nail in the coffin, and Bulldog scored another to make the score 5-1 to Bulldog. Stevenage actually ended the game with 10 on the pitch after a player had an asthma attack and had to come off with 5 to go. 5 minutes to go. Bloody hell. Very fraught there from Stevenage Borough Ladies FC. Big shout out to Mr. Dave Potter, by the way. Thank you for that match report. And you know what? It's definitely mixed fortunes. Definitely mixed fortunes. But, you know, yeah, man. Yeah, we hope so too, Jamie Bailey. Hope everything's okay, man. Breaking a wrist in 2 places. Ooh, bloody hell, man. It's mixed fortunes in terms of women's football this week.